The hardest step in any journey is always the first one because it demands that you move beyond your excuses, fears, and doubts into action. Thinking about your dreams is easy. Planning them out on paper feels safe. But deciding to actually step into the unknown requires courage most people never summon. The mind is skilled at inventing reasons to delay, telling you that you need more time, more money, more preparation, more approval. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years, and the dream remains untouched. Yet life doesn't change because of what you think about doing or talk about doing. It changes the moment you begin. That first step is where transformation starts, because until then, everything is just theory. The first step is difficult because it forces you to confront uncertainty. You don't know exactly what will happen, and that lack of clarity is uncomfortable. But certainty is never the starting point of success. Movement is. You will never know every detail or every outcome in advance, but you don't need to. What matters is having the courage to move forward with what you have right now. People who wait for the perfect conditions never begin because perfect conditions don't exist. The weather won't always be right, resources won't always line up, and timing won't ever feel flawless. Life rewards those who are willing to begin in imperfection because action creates the path that clarity and confidence walk on. Another reason the first step is so difficult is that it breaks your identity. When you stay in one place for too long, you become attached to it, even if it's not where you want to be. Starting something new means you have to let go of who you've been and embrace the uncertainty of who you might become. That transition feels like losing control, and that is why so many people resist it. But growth always requires stepping away from comfort. If you don't take that step, you remain trapped in the same cycles, repeating the same days, wondering why nothing changes. The first step is your declaration that you refuse to be stuck any longer. Taking that first step also forces you to silence the voices of doubt, not just the ones in your head, but also the ones around you. People will question why you are moving, why you are risking, why you are daring. They will project their fears onto you, telling you it's not possible, it's too late, or it's too risky. If you listen, you'll find yourself paralyzed before you even start. That's why the first step is so important. It's not only an act of courage, it's an act of defiance against all the voices, internal and external, that try to keep you still. Once you take the first step, something shifts inside of you. Fear begins to lose its power. What looked impossible from the starting line begins to look achievable once you are moving. Momentum becomes your ally. A small step leads to another, and suddenly you are further than you thought you could be. That first step may not seem grand, but it changes everything because it transforms you from a dreamer into a doer. It separates those who talk from those who act. Life is not about waiting for opportunities to come and knock. It's about knocking down the doors through action. Nothing meaningful has ever been built without someone daring to take the first step, often without knowing what the second or third step would look like. Great inventions, thriving businesses, powerful movements, and inspiring lives all began the same way, with someone deciding to begin. That first step may be clumsy, it may even feel like failure, but it is the most important step because it sets the entire journey into motion. The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready to start, but readiness is created through action. You cannot think yourself into growth. You must act your way into it. The first step does not have to be perfect. but it does have to happen. That is the dividing line between those who live with regret and those who live with fulfillment. Taking the first step may be the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it is also the most liberating because it proves to you that you are capable of moving beyond fear, beyond excuses, and beyond limitations. Once you begin, you ignite the momentum that will carry you forward, and that momentum will open doors you could never see from the starting line. Action will always defeat perfection because perfection is an illusion that paralyzes progress. Many people spend their entire lives planning, preparing, and waiting for everything to line up before they take a step toward their dreams. They rewrite their plans, gather more information, and keep polishing their ideas, believing that once everything is flawless, then they will start. But the truth is, nothing is ever flawless, and no amount of preparation can protect you from the uncertainty of life. The pursuit of perfection keeps people stuck in the planning stage, while others who simply take action, even imperfectly, move ahead and achieve what the perfectionist only dreams about. The problem with chasing perfection is that it is never attainable. There will always be something you could improve, a little more you could prepare, one more detail you could fix. The standard keeps shifting, and you never feel ready enough to move. This endless loop is disguised as productivity, but it is really procrastination. You feel like you are working on your dream, but in reality are avoiding the very thing that will bring it to life action. Action, even messy and uncertain, is what builds momentum. And momentum creates results far greater than a perfect plan sitting unused. When you take action, you give yourself the opportunity to learn in real time. Life is the greatest teacher, and it rewards those who engage with it. You can read every book, study every guide, and listen to every mentor, but until you step into the arena, you will never truly know what works. The people who succeed are not the ones who had perfect blueprints, but the ones who dared to experiment, to try, to fail, and to adapt. Every step you take teaches you something new, and those lessons refine your path in ways that no amount of pre-planning ever could. Perfection, on the other hand, keeps you stuck in theory. It makes you believe you need to know everything before you start. But the reality is you only need to know the next step. The rest reveals itself as you move. Think about all the inventions, businesses, and ideas that changed the world. Most of them started far from perfect. The first versions were often clumsy, flawed, and incomplete. But because someone dared to act, they had something to improve on. Perfectionists stay waiting while doors create something to build upon. Life always rewards the doers. Action also builds confidence. Perfection says, wait until you feel ready. But confidence is not built by waiting. It is built by moving. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you can handle challenges, that you can figure things out, that you are stronger than your doubts. That proof becomes fuel for the next action, and step by step, your confidence grows. Waiting for perfection drains your confidence because you keep reminding yourself that you are not enough yet. Action shifts that narrative by showing you evidence of your capability. Fear often hides behind the desire for perfection. You say you are waiting until everything is just right, but deep down, it is fear of failing, of being judged, or of falling short that holds you back. Perfection gives you an excuse to delay. But no one escapes fear by waiting. The only way to overcome it is to face it through action. When you act, you strip fear of its power because you prove that it cannot stop you. Fear thrives in stillness, but it weakens in motion. The world does not pay for intentions, it pays for results. And results come only to those who take action. You may not start with the perfect resources, the perfect timing, or the perfect strategy, but starting with what you have is infinitely more valuable than waiting for what you don't. Action creates opportunities you could never predict, connections you could never plan for, and breakthroughs you could never imagine. None of these arrive to the person who sits on the sidelines waiting for perfection. Every great achievement began imperfectly. The first book draft is messy, the first speech is shaky, the first business plan is rough, the first attempt at anything is filled with mistakes. But those first imperfect actions open the door to refinement, to mastery, and to success. Perfection may feel safe, but safety will never lead you to your dream. Life rewards courage, persistence, and movement, not flawless plans. Action may not be perfect, but it will always put you miles ahead of the person who never began. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that keeps people trapped, and it often disguises itself as caution, patience, or even wisdom. The mind is wired to protect us, to avoid risk, and to steer us away from potential harm. But this mechanism also holds us back from pursuing our dreams. People stay in situations that feel safe, predictable, and familiar because the unknown is frightening. That fear whispers that you might fail, that others might judge you, or that the consequences might be too high. Yet that whisper is not a reflection of reality. It is a reflection of avoidance. Fear dressed as comfort convinces you to stay still, and the longer you listen, the stronger it becomes. Fear feels real because it appeals to logic. You tell yourself that waiting, postponing, or sticking to what you know is the practical choice. You reason that you need more time, more resources, more knowledge, or more permission. But in reality, these are excuses that give fear a seat at the table. Every delay, every hesitation, every decision to stay put strengthens the illusion of safety while quietly eroding potential. The life you could have is not being lived, not because you lack ability, but because fear has convinced you that doing nothing is safer than risking growth. One of the reasons fear is so effective is that it grows in the absence of action. The longer you avoid a challenge, the bigger it seems. What might have felt manageable a week or a month ago starts to feel impossible over time. Your imagination fills the gaps with worst-case scenarios, magnifying the risk in your mind. The fear you feel is rarely as threatening as it appears, but in stillness, it becomes a monster that looms larger than life. Only action can shrink fear, because moving forward proves to yourself that you are capable of handling what you once thought was too difficult. Fear also hides behind the illusion of comfort. Comfort makes you feel safe while simultaneously preventing growth. It whispers that life is good enough, that you shouldn't push too hard, and that settling is acceptable. You convince yourself that you are making wise choices, but in reality, you are surrendering to fear. The comfort zone is seductive because it does not feel like a prison. It feels like a sanctuary. You feel warm, secure, and content, but every moment spent there is a moment you are not pursuing your dreams, not challenging yourself, and not expanding into your potential. Another aspect of fear is that it isolates you. People often let fear dictate their choices because they do not see others who are moving forward in spite of it. They believe they are alone in their hesitation, that everyone else has it figured out, or that stepping into uncertainty is more dangerous than it really is. Fear thrives in solitude and secrecy, But the truth is that millions of people confront fear every day and take steps toward growth. Recognizing that you are not alone diminishes the power of fear and encourages action. Fear also keeps people living in regret rather than progress. Many individuals look back on their lives and realize that they let fear stop them from taking opportunities, speaking up, or following their passions. What haunts them is not failure, it is the knowledge that they could have tried, could have dared, and could have moved forward but chose not to. Fear masquerading as comfort keeps you in a cycle of inaction, and the cost is measured in lost time, lost experiences, and lost potential. Breaking free from fear requires courage, but courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to act despite fear, to step forward even when the outcome is uncertain, and to risk failure for the possibility of success. Each small step you take diminishes fear, builds confidence, and strengthens your ability to handle future challenges. The more you act, the less intimidating fear becomes, and the more freedom you experience. Fear can only dominate if you allow it to dictate your choices, but the moment you decide to move, even in the smallest way, you reclaim control over your life. Life will always present uncertainty, and fear will always be present. The difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who remain stagnant is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. Fear disguised as comfort will never disappear on its own, and waiting for it to vanish is a trap. The only way to reclaim your potential and move toward your dreams is to recognize fear for what it is, confront it through action, and refuse to let it dictate the life you live. Each step forward is a victory over fear, a declaration of courage, and a movement closer to the life you were meant to lead. Starting something new often feels terrifying because it forces you to step into the unknown, and the unknown is where fear thrives. People are naturally drawn to routines, habits, and familiar environments because they provide a sense of security. That security, however, is deceptive. It is not protection. It is a cage that keeps dreams from coming to life. Fear disguises itself as comfort, convincing you that staying put is the smart choice, that waiting is wise, and that postponing action is reasonable. The problem is that comfort never leads to growth. It only prolongs stagnation and ensures that potential remains untapped. The mind is exceptionally good at rationalizing inaction. It tells you that you are being careful, that you are avoiding unnecessary risk, or that you will act when the timing is right. These thoughts feel logical, but they are fear wearing the mask of wisdom. Fear's power lies in its ability to appear reasonable. It persuades you to stay safe while keeping you from realizing your purpose. Over time, the voice of fear becomes stronger, more convincing, until stepping out feels nearly impossible. The first step into the unknown is difficult because it requires acknowledging that everything you have been relying on as safe may not be enough to reach your dreams. Fear grows when it is fed by inaction. Each day you choose comfort over courage. Each moment you let hesitation rule adds to the strength of fear. Your imagination exaggerates potential risks, inflating them into barriers that feel insurmountable. What might have seemed manageable at first now seems overwhelming. This is why procrastination often feels so justified. The mind has amplified the danger so that inaction seems safer than movement. Yet the cost of listening to fear is enormous. Every opportunity missed, every dream delayed, and every chance unclaimed adds to a quiet regret that builds over time. Comfort and fear are intertwined because comfort masks fear. When you are comfortable, you are not confronted by your limitations or uncertainties. You are not tested. You do not have to prove yourself or stretch beyond what you know. This creates the illusion that everything is fine, that nothing is missing, and that your life is under control. But this illusion is fragile. Deep down, there is a persistent awareness that you are capable of more, that life has more to offer than what you are experiencing. The whisper of dissatisfaction is a signal that comfort is no longer serving you, it is constraining you. Fear also thrives because it isolates you. When you are stuck in comfort, it feels like you are alone in your hesitation. You may think others are more prepared, braver, or more capable. This comparison strengthens fear, making it seem as if only those rare few can step forward. The truth is that everyone faces fear, and the difference between those who succeed and those who do not is action. Taking the first step, no matter how small, diminishes the power of fear. Each action proves to yourself that the unknown is not as dangerous as imagined, that you are capable of handling uncertainty, and that growth is possible. The cost of letting fear dictate your choices is measured in lost time, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled potential. Many people look back on their lives wishing they had acted sooner, that they had been bolder, that they had dared to pursue what truly mattered to them. It is rarely the failures themselves that haunt people, but the knowledge that they let fear and comfort hold them back. This realization is heavy because it confirms that the decisions to stay safe were not protective. They were limiting. Breaking free from fear disguised as comfort requires a conscious decision to act despite uncertainty. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward in spite of fear. Every small step taken outside of comfort diminishes fear's power. Momentum builds with each action, and what once seemed terrifying becomes manageable. The unknown transforms from a threat into a space of possibility. The more you practice courage, the more confident you become in your ability to handle challenges, and the more freedom you experience in your life. Life will never be free of uncertainty, and fear will never vanish completely. Waiting for perfect conditions or complete safety is a trap because neither exists. The only way to reclaim your dreams, to grow, and to live fully is to recognize fear for what it is, to confront it through decisive action, and to refuse to let it dictate the trajectory of your life. Every step into the unknown is a victory over fear, a move toward fulfillment, and a declaration that your life will not be limited by comfort. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry, and it is often the result of choosing comfort and inaction over courage and opportunity. In the moment, staying in your comfort zone feels safe. It feels easy, predictable, and familiar. You tell yourself that you are being practical, responsible, or patient. You postpone or rationalize because it seems wise to wait until the timing is perfect, until the circumstances are right, until you feel ready. But life does not reward waiting. Time moves forward whether you act or not. And every moment you spend avoiding risk is a moment you are not building the life you were meant to live. Regret emerges over time because the choices you make or fail to make have lasting consequences. It is not failure that causes the deepest pain. It is knowing that you could have tried and chose not to. The dream you buried, the opportunity you ignored, and the action you postponed all accumulate into a quiet weight on your spirit. People often look back and realize they gave more energy to comfort and fear than to the life they truly wanted. That realization can be devastating because it cannot be undone. Regret is permanent, and the longer you allow fear and ease to dictate your choices, the heavier it becomes. The danger of comfort is that it feels harmless in the moment. Unlike obvious risks, comfort does not scream at you to move. It whispers that staying put is fine, that you are safe, that your life is good enough. That whisper is seductive because it makes inaction feel like the correct choice. You convince yourself that waiting is wise, that delaying action is responsible, that avoiding risk is sensible. The illusion of safety masks the true cost of comfort, which is lost potential, missed opportunities, and a life left unlived. Regret often grows unnoticed because comfort hides its consequences until it is too late. Many people realize the cost only when they look back years later and see what could have been. They think about the dreams they didn't pursue, the chances they didn't take, and the voices inside them that said, "You can do more." Those moments of reflection are often filled with sadness, frustration, and longing because the opportunities they ignored will never return. Unlike failure, which offers a chance to learn and try again, regret is a reminder that some doors, once closed, cannot be reopened. Fear is often the companion of regret. The fear of failure, of judgment, of uncertainty convinces you to remain in comfort. You delay, postpone, and hesitate, believing that safety is worth the sacrifice. But fear magnifies what could go wrong while blinding you to what could go right. It creates a false narrative that avoiding action is protective when in fact it is destructive. Every decision to stay put strengthens fear and builds a cycle where comfort and hesitation reinforce each other, leaving potential unclaimed and dreams unfulfilled. The antidote to regret is action. The sooner you act, the less space fear has to take hold. Taking even a small step toward your dream diminishes the power of an action and builds momentum. Action allows you to engage with life fully, to test your capabilities, and to discover what you are truly capable of achieving. Those who take risks, even imperfectly, rarely live with regret because they have shown themselves that they dared, that they tried, and that they moved despite fear. It is the act of daring that protects against the weight of regret, not the outcome of perfection. Regret also teaches the importance of living intentionally. Every choice you make is an investment in your future self. Comfort may provide temporary relief, but courage and action provide long-term fulfillment. By prioritizing what truly matters, by choosing challenges over ease, and by acting in alignment with your dreams, you reduce the likelihood of looking back with sorrow. Life rewards those who dare to start, who persist through obstacles, and who embrace uncertainty rather than hiding from it. Ultimately, regret is a consequence of letting fear, doubt, and comfort dictate your path. It is a silent tax that accumulates while you hesitate, convincing you that safety is more valuable than growth. Every day spent in avoidance is a day lost. Every opportunity postponed is a moment that may never return. The life you desire is waiting, but it requires courage, decisiveness, and action. Choosing growth over comfort, risk over ease, and dreams over excuses is the only way to ensure that your story is filled with fulfillment rather than regret. The cost of inaction is high, but the rewards of daring to live fully are immeasurable. Reclaiming your life begins with the decision to step out of the comfort zone and embrace action. For too long, many people allow fear, doubt, and the illusion of safety to dictate their choices, keeping them trapped in routines that no longer serve them. Comfort may feel pleasant and secure, but it is deceptive because it prevents growth and keeps potential untapped. To reclaim your life, You must recognize that staying where it is familiar and easy comes at the cost of your dreams. It is only by daring to step forward that you begin to unlock the life you were meant to live. Courage is the key to breaking free. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means taking action in spite of fear. The first step is often the hardest because it demands that you confront uncertainty and leave the known behind. Fear thrives in stillness, and every day you delay giving in to hesitation allows it to grow stronger. Yet each small act of courage diminishes fear's hold. Momentum builds when you act, and what once seemed overwhelming begins to feel possible. Taking the first step transforms a dream from an abstract idea into a tangible pursuit. Confidence grows through action. Waiting until you feel ready is a trap because readiness rarely comes on its own. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is the result of it. Every time you move forward, no matter how small the step, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling challenges and overcoming obstacles. That proof strengthens your belief in yourself and prepares you for the next challenge. Courage and confidence reinforce each other, creating a cycle that propels you further than hesitation ever could. Embracing the unknown is essential. The comfort zone thrives on predictability and routine, but growth requires risk and uncertainty. The path to your dreams is never perfectly clear, and every step will involve challenges you cannot foresee. Yet these challenges are opportunities in disguise. Each risk taken is a lesson learned, a skill developed, and a resilience built. By stepping into uncertainty, you expand your capabilities and uncover strengths you never realized you had. Comfort may feel safe, but it ensures stagnation. True freedom and growth come only from embracing the unknown. Failure is part of the journey, and it should not be feared. The comfort zone convinces you that failure is dangerous, that mistakes are proof of inadequacy. In reality, failure is a teacher, a guide, and a stepping stone. Every setback provides insight, builds resilience, and strengthens determination. Those who avoid failure out of fear also avoid progress. Life rewards those who act, even if they stumble along the way, because action produces experience, knowledge, and the possibility of success. Each failure, when approached with learning, is a building block rather than a barrier. Vision is the compass that guides you. Breaking free requires clarity about where you want to go, what you want to achieve, and the life you want to create. Vision gives purpose to your actions and sustains you when fear threatens to pull you back. When your reason for moving forward is stronger than your fear, the discomfort of stepping out of comfort becomes tolerable. Vision transforms hesitation into determination, and determination transforms small steps into significant progress. Reclaiming your life is ultimately an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that you are worthy of living fully, that your dreams matter, and that your potential deserves to be expressed. The comfort zone will always try to hold you back with whispers of safety, ease, and logic, but courage allows you to rise above those whispers. Each step into discomfort is a victory over limitation, a movement toward purpose, and a reclaiming of the life that is rightfully yours. The journey is never easy, but the rewards, freedom, fulfillment, and growth are immeasurable. By choosing action over hesitation, risk over comfort, and growth over stagnation, you create a life that is aligned with your highest potential. Every moment you step forward is a statement that you will not be defined by fear, that your dreams are more important than your excuses, and that your future is in your hands. Life rewards those who dare to move, to begin, and to persist, and the process of reclaiming it starts with the decision to act today.